goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creators, where we sit down, often with a special guest, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry, and you can listen to us and grow your wedding business. I totally butchered that intro. That's great. And who are we? I'm Simon, and this is my apology to my Greg, because when I was cleaning the dishes, I broke your Chemex. I'm sorry.
What?
Together we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee, not from a Chemex, and talking shop with others in the wedding industry. This episode is, of course, sponsored by With Jack, but I will get onto that a little bit later in the show. Hey, Greg, who are we talking to today?
We are talking to Fire and Ice, and we have Christian O'Reilly. How you doing?
Hey, Christian.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you for coming on, and especially thank you for being completely set up with a very nice mic and your backdrop and nice lights and everything. I really do love your setup, so this is great.
Thank you, man. Yeah, a bit of effort goes a long way, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. You sitting comfortable? Have you got yourself a drink? What did you go away and get?
Agua.
Good old H2O.
Yeah, the classic. And we are drinking... what did Tom bring in? Random beans from
Toro.
From
in
Toro.
Glasgow.
So thank you, Ross. Christian, you mentioned you're in the mountains right now. Where about you actually based?
So we're based in South Wales. I'm currently in my home office. We have a full-time office which is running like 9 to 5 kind of thing. So if I went down there now, it'd be too much noise in the background. So I decided to stay back and hit the home office, with the only issue of the internet is not too good here. Because I am right on top of a mountain. Like the view out there, I can just see the whole city. So it's completely segregated from civilization and internet.
Sounds lovely.
It is really nice. It's like my holiday home, man. When everybody travel, because I travel so much. And I come back to this house very rarely through the year. It's kind of like a holiday home, so I enjoy just kick back, beautiful views, and switch off.
Yeah, very cool. You know what? I've actually never been to Wales, believe it or not. No? I don't know much about it. I didn't even realize it was mountainous, because I've been to England and it's flat as fuck down there. In the most loving way.
It is quite flat here in comparison to where you guys are. I mean, Scotland's one of my favorite places to go. It's one of my favorite places to ever shoot. A lot of people always ask me, where's your favorite place around the world? And we've been to all of these different countries, and I always say Scotland.
Yeah. Where about in Scotland, like in particular? Do you have like a location that you like to go the most, or?
I mean, the Highlands, Glencoe, but probably my favorite place I've ever been is the Isle of Jura, which I think is just off the west coast of you guys. And it was like 250 people on the entire island, like 6,000 deer. And we had a wedding there, and it was, I think it was 180 guests invited. So there was just like 70 people in their houses, probably like ex-girlfriends or something, maybe. So the entire island come to the wedding, apart from a few. But it was very, so enjoyable. I loved that. Gorgeous place.
Yeah, and they've got a distillery in Jura, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's it. There's one distillery.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, one distillery, one shop, one road. So minimal. Loved it.
Yeah, the one thing I love about these like remote Scottish islands, when there is a distillery, is like 90% of people probably work in the distillery.
Yeah,
and it's like it's their thing, and I really love that. I love that.
Yeah, I went to this.
Let's make something that's.
Yeah, I went to the distillery and like having a whiskey, tasting the Jura whiskey directly from the distillery. Man, it was so clean. Like I haven't had anything close to it since, even from the shops buying Jura whiskey. It just wasn't the same. So that was an experience in itself, which is wonderful, and it's a fantastic part of our job, is being able to travel and just like sample the culture, you know, and the food and just see how other people kind of do things. especially in the wedding industry. Like we shoot so many different cultures. I think it's 7 or 8 specific cultures that we shoot, and very rarely we actually shoot British traditional weddings anymore. So I get to enjoy all of the different traditions and the different scenarios.
Yeah, just so our listeners know, there is clearly an audible delay of like 5 seconds, so bear with us. Hopefully I can edit around that as well. But Christian, tell us about the inception of Fire and Ice. How did it start? Has it changed since its inception? Like, tell us everything.
Man, Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice was started actually with it started with myself and my ex-wife, which have I still got you guys. I think I've lost you video.
Yep, we can still hear you.
Got you.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay. So yeah, Fire and Ice was started in 2018 with myself and my ex. The name stems from the color of my hair and the color of her hair at the time, which was blue. So it's like Fire and Ice. That was where the name come from. And the goal with Fire and Ice was not to just keep it to 2 of us or even 1 at that time, because we was traveling. Jackie was pregnant, and it was a lot of just me shooting. But the goal was to build a company based around a team. And eventually we achieved it. A lot of ups and downs on the way. But now we've grown it to a company with 14 full-time staff and around 8 contractors that are kind of full-time, but they're not on the obviously on the PAYE scheme. So it's gone big, fast, and it was tough to hold on to. And now we shoot on a global scale around 130 weddings a year.
Wow.
Holy shit, that's a huge number.
Yeah, man, too much.
Too much. So how I mean, is that your typical number that you like to book to stay like in a good, comfortable profit margin, or are you just insane?
A bit of both, really. Obviously, having that amount of staff, and everyone is salaried, so it's not pay per job here. I have to commit to a certain amount of bookings in order to pay, everyone's salaries, all the expenses before profit, which is a huge number. But the idea behind Fire and Ice is the reason it's called Fire and Ice and not Christian John O'Reilly Photography is because it's an umbrella company that stems off to multiple other businesses. So the philosophy here is basically to build a super brand, which is Fire and Ice, as the umbrella. And then essentially stemming off different businesses underneath that umbrella, which bring in a lot of revenue, and utilizing and understanding my staff and who wants to go the extra mile, who has that ambition. So essentially I have Fire and Ice, but I also have multiple other businesses, which I own with my staff. For example, a commercial business, which we do TV and adverts, and we just actually shot a promo for the new Nikon product, which is about to be released, but I can't say much about just yet because it is NDA. But we just shot the promo for Nikon. We do TV ads, social media marketing ads, etc. And I own that business with one of my employees. And then I have a separate business with another one, which is, I won't go into too much depth with all of these businesses, but that's the philosophy behind it. Is kind of, right, Fire and Ice, we've built this. Now, how can we build other businesses that kind of get pushed from the main company, which is Fire and Ice?
Yeah. With these other businesses, are they all in like photo and video sphere, or is there some sort of other like e-commerce or anything like that?
So, well, to give you an idea, it is, I mean, the commercial business, it is kind of driven through the wedding industry, but also we do stem out into other brands. I think they did the shoot for Primark recently, which has absolutely nothing to do with weddings. Nikon is kind of nothing to do with weddings, is to do with, cameras, very similar. So the commercial business, not especially just weddings, but the other ones, probably. So we have education, obviously. We have in-person workshops, which is another business in its own, which someone else runs, where we do like retreats, workshops in person and online. We do mentoring one-on-one, music videos here and there for the commercial. And then I have like a business with my graphic design, actually Els. I think you've been talking to Els on Instagram. So the social media marketing team is run by Els, who I own a business with called The Five Senses, which isn't fully launched yet. So I'm not going to go too much into detail with that because someone's going to steal it, because it's an epic idea and I cannot wait to release that. But the main goal is kind of a TV series, so to hit Netflix for Fahrenheit. So next year, this year and next year, there's a crew that follow the team. We go around the world and we're trying to hit the reality TV series scene. If you think of like Miami Ink, the pawn shops in America, how it follows businesses. It's kind of that feel. So we're going to do that in the wedding industry, of us shooting high-end, high-profile events around the world, which is a massive, mammoth task in itself. But that's the goal.
Yeah. Aim big with your sort of goals. Like, I'm picturing selling Sunset for wedding films.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, Fahrenheit shooting weddings is basically the basis. Sorry, there's a delay. My apologies.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. Obviously, have you already got episodes in the planning stages, or like rough story, or like how do you go about? Do you go in with a story in mind, or like how do you do that?
There is an episode, is you can call it a pilot, but it is online. It's actually in Scotland, where we shot in Skye. We shot an elopement in Skye, and we kind of blogged the whole trip, and that's where it stemmed from. So there is a recipe behind it. Okay. It shows the struggles of us. It shows, the inspiration we try to inspire with it. We shows the maximum effort that we put in. It's a 4-day shoot in Jura. It's on YouTube called, I think it's Filming a Wedding on Skye on our YouTube channel. And it basically follows us from the start to the entire final product. It shows the planning. It shows us planning it with the client as the team. It shows us arguing, falling over, farting. It's like entertainment, but inspirational, but also kind of like, I don't know. For me, it was all memories. I wanted someone to follow us for the memories, and it kind of grew from there. Mm-hmm. But moving forward, I mean, that entire episode was filmed with one guy, one camera, and he's kind of like talking to the camera for vlog style. But moving forward, the episodes are being filmed by a crew. So you have audio, text, you have like 2 or 3 camera crew, you have an AD on set. It's more of like a movie setup kind of thing. So it's more high end, which is what we push in through to the next episodes. We are looking then for brands to sponsor certain episodes. And then we will base the episodes around those sponsors. For example, we are ambassadors for Rotolight, which is a UK-based lighting company, and one of the episodes is going to be based around how we shoot with these lights, and using different colors and why we would use them, etc. So the idea would be we would start in the consultation phase. The client would come into the office. The entire initial consultation would be filmed. Then it would go to, for example, if it's a Caribbean themed wedding, we would kind of like the team would go to a Caribbean themed restaurant, for example, and that's where we'd plan. It'd be entertainment. We'd do something, dress up or whatever for the entertainment factor of it. But it showed the reality of us planning a real wedding based upon the 4 Ps, which is planning, prepping, practicing and performing. So that's the idea, basically.
Very cool.
Sorry, man. I know that's a lot, right? You asked me one question.
I love it. Yeah. Give me all the details, man. I was looking up your Fahrenheit's YouTube page. The video you're referring to, was it posted roughly 2 years ago, and it was called Wedding on the Isle of Skye? Is that... Okay, cool.
That's it.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to check that out. And listeners, if you're interested, definitely go into their website. Go into their YouTube and give it a watch. Yeah. Why not?
You mentioned being ambassadors there. You also ambassadors for Music Bed. Is that Is that still the case?
That's correct. Yeah, that's where we get all our music, and I think we haven't pushed. To be honest with you, the time in order to have these partnerships, I haven't had much, and even podcasts like now. I think this is the second one I've ever done, and that's purely based upon time and focusing on my own brand and not having the time to do these different things. So Music Bed, we haven't pushed as much yet. We have been ambassadors for them for like a year and a half now. And we obviously drop them whatever we do, and we obviously drop their name, but we don't really push them as much as we should. But next year, the entire series is going to be based around these 2 brand collaborations, and sponsored by them heavily.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we use Music Bed all the time.
Yeah.
You got any friends and family discount codes there?
I do. I actually do. Okay. I think it's Fire Nice 15 or something. Els would know.
Oh, there you go, Greg.
Yeah.
Get typing that in. Yeah. So, I mean, you have won in your career a good few awards. What would you say makes Fire Nice like stand out from the competition, which is, some might say, quite a saturated market? Like, how would you see that?
In regards to the awards, again, we don't really push them as much. I've never really focused on that as a career. I focused on the work and the impact of the. But as you said, trying to stand out and how impactful our work could be. I mean, we shoot photo and video simultaneously 99% of the time. So the entire team thing is our unique workflow, how we shoot photo and video simultaneously, but how we do it extra. And the whole business model is based around maximum effort. Like, we just go hard on everything we do. For example, that Sky video, they booked us for 4 hours. That was a 4-hour elopement. We turned it into a 5-day shoot, 7 people there. And it's not because we think, let's go. It's not the money. It's nothing to do with the money, and there never has been. It's always been about, right, how can we do this to the best? How can we do what we love for a living, enjoy it, travel the world? That's been the driving factor of Fire Nice, and that's why we stand out, is because we go above and beyond. So we don't just, if a client books us for 6 hours, which they cannot do because we don't have hourly packages, we end up turning into 2-3 day shoots and investing time and money from our part in order to make this bigger, to be able to hit a bigger audience that would book us. And this is how we were able to go from shooting local registry offices back 5 years ago to now shooting high profile A-list celebrity clients, is because we've always put that effort, that extra effort. And that's what makes us stand out.
Yeah. On that, like, standing out point, like, you obviously put a lot of effort into your branding and like creating a distinctive online presence. Like, what advice? Obviously, Fire Nice is quite not unique, but different to most wedding photography businesses where you are a big team. What advice would you give to like the solo photographer on how to like improve their branding to be more unique and stand out?
Get a second shooter at the start. You absolutely cannot do this on your own. If you want to go to this level, it's all based around team. I can give you a quick example, actually. Imagine you have, right, say if you're a solo shooter, right? And you have 100 energy points, yeah, on a wedding day. Now, you have to distribute those energy points around all the different factors from the wedding day: bridal prep, groom prep, ceremony, candidates, B-roll, speeches, the intimate session, evening, etc. You have to also worry about what's coming up next. You have to worry about what time the cake cutting is, what time's this. And when you're worrying about all of those different factors, you cannot be creative, right? Because you're trying to organize a fast-paced event and you're trying to stay on top of it. So how can you be creative? So as soon as you introduce, so say if you had 100 energy points, you're going to distribute, say, like 10 points to each of those different sectors throughout the day, right? Automatically, if you get a second shooter and you delegate to the second shooter maybe 6 of those different points, for example, bridal prep, I don't do it. Ceremony, I don't go down the front. If my second shooter is not capable to shoot a bride walking down an aisle, they wouldn't be my second shooter. So I kind of like take a standpoint as I'm the second, I'm the creative. Now, the second shooter is kind of what people think what the lead would be. So they would be taking care of like different timings. They would be talking to the planner. And what that does is completely free my mind up. to do other things and go bigger and better and create more content. And doing it on your own is honestly, some people, I take my hat off to them because it is a lot. A wedding day is a lot. And like absolutely no disrespect to anyone, but if someone's shooting a wedding on their own and then they send a team or they're going to do a better job because of how much needs to be done in order to shoot that wedding correctly or well. Instead of just hiding behind a good highlight and then the overall coverage gets sacrificed, that you cannot do it all. Is impossible. To do it properly and do it all is impossible.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're doing photo and video.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine. Like, so we're a 2-man team, and I feel that I quite like the way you put it. Actually, if you had 100 points there,
it's like a video game.
It's like a video game, and I love video games. So yeah, I give Greg 50 points, and he goes away and does stuff, and yeah.
Exactly. If you had to delegate your 100, if you had to use your 100 points up, right, then you're going to do everything kind of like 10%, let's say, unless you have a Red Bull, and then maybe you'll get 110% out of that. But if you delegate that, if you give, Greg, if you give your partner 100%, Simon 100%, 100 energy points, you still got yours, right? So you can just put yours on maybe 2 or 3 different points, and you have, say, 70 points left in order to be purely creative. So one of you is concentrating on the coverage and covering that well, and the other one is concentrating on creativity and high impact shots. The majority, like, we have this question all of the time: how do you get so much footage? How do you get so much content from a wedding day? Nobody gives us time, blah blah blah. It's because of the communication. It's the communication and the planning and the organization of your team and delegation. If you do that properly, you'll go to the next level, 100%.
Yeah. How do you feel about, let's say, photographers out there who try to maximize their profits by offering to do like a hybrid video package on the side? Like, do you think that there's a better way to do it then?
So you're talking about one person shooting photo and video simultaneously?
Yeah, because there's a few hybrid shooters out there that do both those jobs, and now I'm putting it in the way that you put it with the points, and I'm like,
they're compromising on one of them.
Where are they sacrificing? And like, do you think there's a better way for them to maximize their profits? And yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not knocking anyone's business model, right? But if you're trying to do both things, I mean, trying to do one of those on your own is difficult. Never mind trying to do both. I do not recommend that. But if it works for some people, it works. And if they're happy and to continue, what I will say, it'll be very difficult for them to go further and to charge more. As soon as you start introducing more team members and you automatically level up in terms of quality and overall delivery. And then you can charge more. So you might as well do a better job and keep the same profits by charging more and paying someone else. They just make sense, right? And then if you keep doing that, then eventually you'll get to the point where you're charging 15,000 a day, like we do, or 15 to 20,000 a day, and then eventually it will hit the high profile market, which we have in 5 years. So I don't recommend doing it. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. If you're happy to just. But it'd be very difficult to level up then to the next level. But like I said, I don't want to knock people's models, and I don't want to sit here and say, oh yeah, doing it on your own is not good. Some people earn a lot of money, man, on their own. Like, they earn a lot of money, and hats off to them. They probably got less grey hairs than me. They probably are less stressed. They don't have to look after 14 staff. They have to make sure that the pressure of hitting salaries. It's very difficult to do it the way we do. And we've almost crashed and burned on multiple times. But it's just been that grit, consistency, drive, passion, and then just purely teamwork, pushing each other in order to get there. So it depends what you want, man. If you want a simple life and shoot a few weddings and then outsource your videos and just enjoy life, fantastic. I'm jealous.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to us talk and you're thinking, oh, they're having a go at my business model, is the reason that we call this podcast Perspective is so that we offer other people's perspectives, so that you can maybe, think about ways of doing your business that you maybe haven't thought about before. So yeah. I want to go back to marketing though. Are there any other marketing strategies other than like go big or go home that you use to like attract the clients that you want to shoot?
Probably the most important one I would tell you right now in 2023 would be the BTS, the behind the scenes stuff is just as important as the final product for you as a brand. So we're not just planning the shoot, we're planning the behind the scenes to the shoot in order to show that content and hit, a huge audience on social media platforms. I'll give you a quick example. Which one? So we have like our most played reel, I think, is like 25 million views, right? And this is a guy, I don't know if you've seen this, is a guy in France, and we're on like an engagement shoot in Paris outside the Louvre. And there's a couple standing there, and then there's a guy, a French guy, just sat there, and I ask him, "Does he mind moving?" And he basically tells me, "No."
Yeah.
You've seen that? So this is basically...
I've seen that, yeah, because I was like, oh, this guy. Whoop.
Yeah, so this is basically what I'm talking about when it comes to marketing, is kind of like recognizing these moments and jumping on them to be able to, or even having someone to record that. Because if that just happened and we didn't record it, nobody would have saw it, and we've got multiple bookings because of this reel. People want to see, people seeing now. It was at the time where the AI was trending, which added to it. So essentially what happens in the reel is I go there, ask him to move, he doesn't move, I take the shot anyway, go home, AI, and then, remove him using AI. And then it kind of blows up, and then we get multiple people, views, followers, etc. from this. Now we repeat this process. Probably a better example for this repeat process and having a marketing strategy would be the group shots that we do. For some reason, a lot of photographers don't understand that, the further you are away from your subject, the wider the focal plane is. And we've kind of recognized this. So we shoot all of our group shots wide open, right? So I'm shooting like 20 people on f1.2, and the comment section just blows up. Everyone's like, you shouldn't be shooting on 1.2. It was a group shot. How is everyone in focus? And it's very basic. You understand it. But then some people, obviously newer people, don't understand the fact that it's because I'm so far away, because there's so many people, everyone is in focus. So we recognized that maybe a year and a half ago. I think we had a reel blow up, and it had, I think, about 18 million views, and it gained us about 40,000 followers from one reel, right? And we're like, wow, something's going on here. And it's because of all the photographers arguing in the comments about this. So we kind of like jumped on that and done it multiple times after it, and recognized that marketing strategy, and essentially like utilized it and like capitalized on the idea of shooting wide open on group shots, because it's just kind of like frowned upon for some reason. But yeah, you can see the reels on the Instagram. It's like we've done it multiple times. You'll see the settings pop at the end where it says f1.2.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the marketing is basically planning the marketing just as much as we plan the wedding shoots. We actually plan for the content beforehand, and then obviously having a team, it helps because you have someone following you and shooting social media. You haven't got to worry about that as well as everything else.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So talking about like a wedding day, then tell us about how a typical sort of team looks like for you guys. If you're doing photo and video, how many photo people have you got? How many video? Then do you always take the behind the scenes person to every shoot, or is that something that you just decide each wedding when it suits right? Tell us about how the team works on a wedding day.
It totally depends on the event. Sometimes we obviously we have a lot of big high profile events, which we would take a team, sometimes 8 to 10 people, which one person would be dedicated to audio. So it's basically, the philosophy is, instead of one person trying to do everything, it's people trying to do specific fields very well, and then overall the entire production is leveled up, right? So you have someone dedicated to audio only, constantly leveling audio. You haven't got to worry about that, speeches, ceremony, etc. Again, clean feeds and room audio, and then mixing it later on, so higher end production. We have people dedicated to the lighting. One of our recent reels actually that blew up was because we had our lighting team from the commercial team. They were setting up scrims, Aperture 600s is like 4 or 5 light setups for one shot. And I put on there, this took 5 minutes. Kind of clickbaity. I don't know if you've seen this reel. It's a little bit clickbaity, because it says this took 5 minutes, but then obviously the disclaimer in the caption says it took 5 minutes of the client's time, which is what's important to me, is like it only took 5 minutes of the client's time. Yeah. Obviously it took the team 45 minutes to set everything up. But just having the ability to have that team doing the lighting, and I haven't got to worry about it. So around 8 people. So you're talking lighting, audio. You have minimum of 2 photographers, minimum of 2 video on cam ops. You have people dedicated to just establishing. So someone flying a drone, FPVs, and then someone doing time lapses, externals, everything. So yeah, around 8 people, I think, for a high profile event.
Yeah, it's almost like creating a short film or a commercial shoot. You've got the person who knows their profession, the lighting, the audio, and they're just focusing on that. And that obviously is how so people will look at your reels and they'll be like, oh my God, that must take so long to set up. But you say it takes 5 minutes for the client. But I'm thinking like on a commercial shoot, the client or the talent usually has a lot of sitting around to do. So their sitting around time for the bride and groom or the couple is they go mingle, I guess, and you're setting up for the next shot. Is that how it tends to look?
That's
on
exactly
their side of things?
That's exactly it. So everything would be set up. We'd actually test it on our team. There'd be people testing the light, testing the shot. It's all ready. You call the client in, it takes 5 minutes, and they go back to doing their wedding, and we go back to moving on to the next shot. Now, obviously, when this is happening, everything is still getting shot. It's not all of the team dedicated to this part. So the wedding is still being covered by the 2 cam ops that are constantly on that. But what it allows us to do is do all of these other setups in order to create these more production level wedding in a more higher production. But it's funny that you mentioned about like the talent being sat around for most of the day. Yesterday, I think when I reached out to you guys and said we're on set, we was there till 1 a.m. last night. And there was 5 shots, right? From this is just a 5-shot ad from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. So you can imagine. And those shots, when they actually get the shot, is about 60 seconds. So they're working for 5 minutes, but they're there for 13 hours. And everything else is just gaffs and lighting, camera, everything, just moving everything to the next shot. So we kind of do that and imply that on a wedding in order to create these high impact shots or this higher end kind of production level stuff, It's very complicated, man. And most people listening to this are probably going to be like, fuck that. Oh shit, can I swear on here?
Yeah, you can swear.
It's okay. Go for it. With managing such a big team, I can guarantee you our listeners are like, how the fuck does he pay all of his team? And so my question is related to that. It's like, first of all, what do you offer your clients? And then how much is like a starting price for you guys to go out to a wedding? And and fill in any holes that you think of in regards to pricing and paying your team, because I know it's a huge topic. And
so all of my staff are salary based, so it doesn't matter if they shoot 2 weddings in a month or 10 weddings in a month, they get paid the same. And that when I kind of introduced that method, I did start off with paid per shoot, and it was a mess. It was a complete mess. So now everyone is paid annually. And then we have contractors that we call in specific jobs. We can essentially shoot 3 weddings in one day. We have done it on 3 different continents in one day, the team. So three weddings, 3 continents, and then everyone simultaneously working and communicating. So I do have set leads that can go to a job. I don't have to go to the wedding. Depends on the wedding. Depends. Sometimes I do get requested for it, and we will agree for me personally to go. But I've put myself in a position where I am not my brand. Fire and Ice is a team. And that was important to me because this does have a shelf life. And it's unsustainable to do this for the rest of my life to this level. So I don't have to go to every single wedding, and it will be shot, and it will look like I did go. And that's purely because of the team and training and shooting so many weddings, etc. So, instead of now limiting myself to 1 wedding, we can now shoot 3. So essentially we could take up to 30 grand a day doing weddings as a team. And then salary goes out. Now it sounds like, oh shit, you must be on a lot of money. It's not. Like it's not ridiculous to the point of like I'm just swimming in money, because I invest everything back into the business, and people get paid well.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems I've had to overcome is managing people and staff, and people coming and going. So people come in, they shoot, they love this, I can do this, and then they end up leaving. So my issue was, how do I keep them here, because I value them. Obviously, number one is pay them well. If you pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys, right? You can't get away with that. People will just go off and do their own thing. But the main philosophy of the staff, of my staff or my friends or my family, is what I refer to them more, is these side businesses that I have. So it benefits them to be part of a company like this, that we can create opportunity for individuals within the team, and they all know that. So they all striving to become and stand out and do their best, and it doesn't kind of they don't burn out as much as they would if it were just working for someone else, because that's the main issue. So they get paid well, but they also get the opportunity to own separate businesses, and we're always thinking and storyboarding of what we can do next in order to generate more money. So as I said in the beginning of the podcast, like the overall thing is like the umbrella, right? Finance is the umbrella, and then we have these other stems of income, which is owned by certain staff members, which, you know, drives them to want to be here and want to be part of this brand. And it's not just me. It's not just because I own it doesn't mean it's me. The bigger this company goes, everyone levels up with it, and that's the philosophy behind it. And I think the other question was, how much do we charge? Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a base sort of starting rate, if there is one.
We just run the biggest, I think what was it? I don't even know much anymore. I don't even do the sales anymore. I think it's around 10,000 starting for our team to come there. But again, I've kind of like delegated that out. So I don't know exactly how much people pay. I haven't looked into it over the past year in terms of how much average client pays, but it's starting at 10,000. Sometimes, you know, it's gone up to 15, 20, depending on the event and how many people go and where it is and the expenses, you know, destination weddings and travel and accommodation. It can go right up quickly.
Yeah.
You did mention that this has a shelf life. Where do you see the end of the line? Like, are you fully grey at that point? Or are you just relaxing on the beach? Like, what's...
Man, I've always said I want to retire by the time I'm 40, so I got 4 years left, right? And that's my shelf life. But it's on the right tracks for that. I have 5 children, so I don't want to be gone all of the whole year. I've sacrificed a lot to be in the position I am now, and the one that I regret the most is not spending as much time as I could with my family, which is very important for me to mention, because to get to do what we do, I mean, to travel, especially when you're destination wedding photographers, you're away a lot, right? And it looks glamorous online, and you think you want that, but you have to realize what's important and the priorities. And I've kind of committed myself. I'm all in at this point. Yeah. And the massive regret for me is missing out on certain parts of my children's growth. And that's one thing I'm striving towards, is to be able to be there for them, and in order to continue the brand. But essentially, I see myself owning multiple businesses and just managing them, really. But what I lose sleep over now, guys, is basically the film stuff, like the commercial stuff. So, like, I recently starred in our own commercial, which was I script writed it, I starred in it and directed my own commercial for a wedding brand, and it's basically me and my daughter. We grow up, and then she eventually gets married. So after like, you know, the special effects, we have to rent out an entire. I really enjoyed that, and that's what I lose sleep over now, is thinking of this next kind of like story-driven adverts. That's what I'm losing sleep over right now. But obviously, I'm still super passionate about the weddings, and when I'm in that moment, it's like that is where I need to be and where I should be. Yeah. And that's what I thrive in, is that creative space and being part of a creative team.
Yeah. Is that online? Can we watch that somewhere?
Yeah, man, it's on Instagram. You can see me coming down the aisle like 60 years old with grey hair. If you go to my personal Instagram,
we'll need to go and check it out.
Is that?
If you go to my personal one,
are you fully grey? Is that it? Oh, it is.
Yeah, it might be. It might be nice. Just the promo for it, but the actual
I didn't recognize you with the grey hair.
So
yeah, nice.
You mentioned that you don't really pay attention to the sales side of thing, and you let your team deal with the sort of pricing and sending out sales. Like, how does a sales consultation look like from a Fire and Ice point of view? Like when you did do it, presumably at the start, maybe you did them, and then how does it look now? Like,
I do have a lot of them recorded, and which we offer to our like one-to-one mentoring online and our in-person in-person workshops. You can actually see the actual consultation process. I do have a lot of like, I've picked up a lot of lines where I've seen the clients like perk up when I say certain things, and I've made note of them. So the consultation process for me, like, very rarely I won't get the booking when I'm on the phone. But it's come to the point where we have like 200 to 300 inquiries a month sometimes. And like getting to the, like weeding out the price shoppers or the ones that we don't think can go with us.
yep.
It goes through a screening process first. So our salesperson, a lady called Fion, she will be on the phone to them first, or a Zoom first, and then she'll kind of gauge, and then if it's fine, everyone, and they like what they're hearing in terms of the package and the process, then I'll come in on the phone with them, and then I'll secure with the booking. I'll get it over the line. But for the most part, whenever I get on the phone, they're going to book anyway. They just wanted to, meet and talk about, because obviously Fiona is not a photographer or wedding videographer. So she doesn't know certain aspects of the wedding day. So it is a barrier there that you have to be careful of. And we're very upfront with that with the client, especially in the emails. We say to them, look, the first process is we're going to explain everything. If you're happy with what you hear, we're going to put you on the phone to Chris or one of the other lead senior team members here. And then I will go on there, and then any questions that they ask, like about creativity or the filming or photography itself, then I will obviously take care of. But when it comes down to the money and like the contracts and invoices and all that, I don't even see any of that anymore.
Yeah. In terms of like client consultation, like I do most, if a couple wants a Zoom call or FaceTime call, it's me that does them. And one thing that I've learned over the years is I quite often ask them early on, like, was there anything in our website and our work that connected with you and made you want to get in touch? And that just makes them basically sell their self on us. Like they start to rave about how good your films are and why they really love them. And you're just sitting back going, yep, just keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself how good we are. So,
you're recording at this point though, the marketing for that, you need to be recording those.
Is there any, like you mentioned the things that perk people up. Is there one that you can sort of share? Like I know you share the videos on your one-to-ones.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones for me was the team aspect, photographers versus videographers, and some people might not like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Photographers and videographers are kind of like not hate each other, but there's a friction, right? And it's known in the industry. A photographer and a videographer kind of fighting over the aisle shot, and you've seen horror stories online. So I kind of use that with my clients. I'm like, listen, our team doing photo and video, I have the control to say move. When there's someone else there, I cannot do that. Obviously, I can ask respectively, and I can plan and I can prep, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And I kind of use that to say, when we're as a team, everyone knows where to stand. We're not in each other's way. Our goal is to shoot photo and video simultaneously in order to create the best photos and films that we possibly can without having friction of two companies clashing heads. So this one works well for us in terms of the team aspect when selling photo and video. And I think we shot 3 video only weddings last year. And I don't know if we've done any, maybe 1 or 2 photo only, but for the majority of it, everyone books our team. And I strongly believe it's because of this method that we're using, beforehand. And like we're always mic'd. We always have, what's it called? Walkie-talkies, right? In our ears. So it's just a case of me going, Josh, move to the left a little bit, and during ceremony, really quietly, and he'll just slightly move to the left in order to benefit the shot from both of us. So, but you wouldn't have, if you guys were doing video and I was doing the photo, I wouldn't have that ability to move, or vice versa. If you think I was in your shot and you couldn't tell me what to move, therefore it causes some sort of friction. But I have also done video-only weddings when the photographer was fantastic, and vice versa, and it wasn't an issue. But for the most part, I use it as a selling point to sell photo and video to my clients.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you mentioned like having control of the creative vision, just being able to move people. What is your process to coming up with a creative vision for specifically a the wedding film part of it, and then how does that compare with the photography side of things? Like, is there a difference, or do you envision everything as one and you just go between them?
We have a very religious or strict planning process. And I mentioned earlier the 4 Ps, and every wedding is based around the 4 Ps, right? Is the planning, the preparation, the practice, and the performance, right? So I'll give you an example. Back to Scotland. We did a wedding recently. This was video only.
Okay.
So the planning process, it looks like this, right? We have a big board in the office, and it has a world map, and it has like string coming from each location to a photo of each client with information about that wedding. Now, when that wedding is due to come, and when the planning is about to start for that specific client, we ask all of our clients for a selfie. We take off the from the wall. We stick it up we stick it up on the drawing board, and then we've got a team sitting around the table. Now, we're based off the questionnaire, the consultation, the information that we know about this wedding. Then basically we start storyboarding. So before we even shoot the wedding, we know the opening shot, the closing shot, the audio, the theme, the color, the tempo, the pace, everything. And it's all done beforehand. We even shoot to the audio. Sometimes we'll have a speaker with us and we'll play the audio that we're going to put on the highlight to them, especially in the big Nigerian events that we do. And then actually moving to the music that we're going to edit to. So it makes it easy later on. Yeah. So planning is a huge part of what we do here. But I just mentioned the Scotland shoot. This is a perfect example, actually. And this one was video only. We've wanted to do this creative idea where we integrate Polaroids into the video. So essentially what we're doing is, it's kind of like an Inception kind of loop-in reel sort of thing. Now, this is like the bonus of what we have for the wedding, for what the booking. I mean, the book does to cover the wedding, and then we how do we make this different, right? So the 4 Ps, the planning. So we've planned it, and we're in the car on the way to Scotland, 8-hour drive, and we're all planning now. And it starts with an idea based around the book, and then it stems with everyone throwing in ideas. It stems right. What if we take Polaroids? Stick the Polaroid in the next scene, start there, and then come out of the Polaroid into the next scene, and then keep going. So the idea is born there. We had a different idea for it beforehand, and then in the car we have the whole BTS to this. We're going to put it on YouTube in the next week or two, cool. Of us actually planning and showing this. So now we're running through Scotland, right? Mm-hmm. And looking for a Polaroid the next day. We're looking on Amazon trying to find a Polaroid. Goes into the shop, gets a Polaroid. Now we have to go and practice this. So you have the team is in a park somewhere in I think it was Edinburgh. It was in Edinburgh. We're planning in a park, all freezing cold. We're trying this Polaroid idea, and we figured out that the Polaroid is not working. It's not exposing correctly. So we're back to the Polaroid place, get a new Polaroid, go back there, practice again, and then essentially we nail it. We know what we're doing. So then 2 people on that wedding day are dedicated to this kind of idea. It's on the Instagram. It's called. You'll see like a picture of the Polaroid. And so what happens is during the wedding is getting shot in the zone, and then 2 of us are dedicated to doing this. So it's literally a case of me overhanging one of the gimbals with a Polaroid, and the gimbal's coming back, and then at a certain point I'm banging the Polaroid to match the frame, and then I'll put that Polaroid in the next frame. So the idea stems from the team. Like we start just throwing ideas out there, and then we have to execute it, and we go above and beyond to execute in order to stand out. Now, I don't think it's ever been done before. I've never seen it myself, and I wouldn't do it again or attempt it again. But it was really fun to try. But it kind of like. From that wedding, we booked 3 of her sisters' wedding because they seen how much effort we put in and into the creative side of it. She had three other sisters, and we booked. One of them was a cousin, sorry, and we booked 3 clients because of the effort that we put in on the day. And actually had an inquiry from the Radio 1 host guy. We didn't actually end up shooting his wedding, but he was, what was his name? Scott Mills.
Yeah.
He was the DJ there. Yeah, Scott Mills. Yeah, so it kind of like perked people up, and that's what we base this on, is just how do we just blow everything out of the water, man.
Yeah, cool. We mentioned that I'm gonna do the plug. I'm just gonna do that now, just to get it out of the way. If you want to support this podcast and you want to hear more episodes, then go to our YouTube at Perspective by Cinemate and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and you can go to our website if you want. All those all those good things. Christian, I want to ask kind of a big question, but it depends on how you interpret it. But what is your deep why for doing this work? Like, why? You mentioned you've sacrificed to get to where you are. Why?
Man, you probably. So I don't know if you guys know this or anyone listening. I don't know if you know the story, but my story stems back from I learned photography in prison actually. And when I come out of prison, I kind of threw myself into photography and video, and it was a kind of a way for me to express myself creatively, but to take my mind off all of the other kind of bad things and things that I surrounded myself with. So I went to prison back in 2011. I don't even know if I should be saying this, by the way. Back in 2011, and when I actually, my dad used to send me books in prison, and I used to read a lot of theory based around photography. And it got to the point where when I got out, I bought a camera, and then I shot my sister's wedding, and I just loved it, and I just threw myself into it. And ever since, it's been everything I ever wanted, ever known, ever strived to be better at. And so I guess it was to kind of, it was a kind of rehabilitation for me to throw myself into something, and it just happened to be photography. I happened to fall in love with it, and then I just went further and further and further, and realized that I can earn a good amount of money doing this, but also I can feed my creative myself. I can kind of like throw myself into something.
Yeah.
I've never really spoken about this before, man. So it's like, it's really difficult for me to talk about. It's a past thing that I don't regret about myself because it made me who I am. But it also, it is a part of me that I'd like to forget in some way, in some retrospect. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I obviously really appreciate you opening up about that. Because it can't have been easy. I gotta ask, when you did your first wedding, what did you love about it? Like, was there any particular aspect of doing that for your sister, or yeah?
It was I posted the photos on Facebook, and I had like a lot of feedback. Oh my God, and the photos are terrible. If you look back at them, the photos are not even good. I mean, even though I could read the theory of photography, I had no practical experience, so it was literally just shooting. But it was one photo of my daughter in particular at that event, at the wedding, where she kind of turns around with her flower girl dress on, and I posted that, and it kind of like, all of my friends and family, this is amazing. And ever since that, I kind of like it wasn't like an ego stroke or anything, but I kind of loved that side of it, is that I could showcase my work, and social media is so powerful. And I truly believe without social media, it would have been more difficult, because I got into like this game online where I would like, let's post stuff, but I was trying to figure out what was different about what I was doing as opposed to everyone else. So I would literally go online and post photos just to see the reaction, and then really take note of the reaction and understand that if it's not getting a reaction, why? What is the reason for it not getting a reaction? How can I get a reaction? So I really gamified social media, and I was using specific groups. One of them was Looks Like Film. I used that a lot because you have to have like 1,000 likes in there in order for it to get it featured. And everyone is striving to get 1,000 likes on Looks Like Film. So I would go on there and I'd be posting, I'd be trying to get that, and I was striving for that, and then dissecting why it wasn't getting there, or also the opposite of understanding why it was getting there was just important. So I threw myself into it, and I literally looked at wedding photos over and over and over and over again for years, until I'm actually sick of seeing them right now. And very, very minimal things actually pique my interest now. I'd have to be scrolling, and it'd be a certain image that I would stop on because I've just seen so many, and the trends, and it keeps going and going and going. But very, very minimum things actually do pique my interest now, even from my own work. Like I'm very, very tough on myself when it comes to my own work, and there's probably thousands of photos buried in my hard drives that would blow up if I posted them. But the just the fact of that imposter syndrome, it was always a part of me, and it always was. I think it is with everyone. So yeah,
I think so. Yeah. What I mean, you mentioned, things that pique your interest. Can you give us an example of something that might make you stop and think for a bit?
In regards to social media, you mean scrolling?
Yeah, like what'd you love to see in a good
something
image?
I've never seen before. There's just this massive trend of people just doing the same thing and then they move on to the next thing. Once you've seen it a million times. So. Well, the first thing I look at when I'm coming across an image is the light, which I never used to factor in, especially in my early days of taking photos and filming, is light. Like just a basic understanding for light and understanding that light will enhance your scene and it's number one over anything else. So the light and colors, the basics, basically. If it's quality light, great colors, like I'll stop on it and I'll have a look. Especially if the idea is unique. Then all of those put together will pique my interest. But the trends of like I went through all of the preset trend and then using certain LUTs and all of this type of stuff, and it's not as important. Like it's nowhere near as important as the basics. Do the basics really well, and you'll stand out. And that's genuinely what I've learned and what I've gone back to over the past couple of years is just honing in the basics. Good light. Good composition is number one, and then going towards the final product in terms of grading, like the colors is everything for me now.
Yeah. How would you describe Fire and Ice's style of photography?
Impactful, different, unique. Yeah, 100% unique. Obviously we do the basics. It's a wedding day, man. Obviously we do the same. Like a lot of our galleries will look like other people's galleries because it is a wedding and there's only so much you can do during the ceremony and during the speeches, etc., etc. But what we try to do here is to create more unique shots whilst also filming or shooting the wedding well. So you imagine the filming of the wedding or the shooting of the wedding is the baseline. Right, what can I do for all these other bonus stuff? So they have this standard. How can I do all of this other stuff in order to stand out? That's what we do here.
Yeah, and having like the team, you mentioned like in theory you can do 3 weddings in a day. Like yourself, can you look at a gallery and be like, oh, that was that team? Can you identify a difference in the style slightly, or do you manage to keep it all consistent between each team?
It's consistent, man. Like people have to shoot a minimum of 50? It used to be 50. I think it's more now. Someone has to shoot a minimum of 50 weddings before they can go and lead a wedding with me. So they just pick. Right. And one of the things I did when I was hiring people was not hire wedding photographers or videographers that had a style. So every one of my staff never come from this background. They always done other things like music videos or other creative industries. And then it's all they know now is to shoot like me because they've literally been over my shoulder for years, and for a certain moment. So you can't tell. You wouldn't tell. You wouldn't be able to tell.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
With obviously looking at the basics that you were talking about, the color and the light, like, would you say that Fire and Ice have like a look to the work? And like when you've got 3 teams out at different continents, say, like how do you make all of those resemble the brand that you're trying to push out?
We don't have a brand. We don't have a style. That's the point. So if we shot 2 weddings in 1 week in the same venue, both videos would look differently. And it's based around the couple, not our style. We don't have a style. So it doesn't look consistent. But what it is high impactful, themed, shot, planned, executed very well. And the client is always over the moon. So if we're in Jamaica shooting a wedding and we're in Scotland in the Highlands in winter shooting a wedding, it's not going to look the same anyway. because you have the different light, you have the different backgrounds. So we enhance the theme of the wedding, and that's what it's based on. So it wouldn't look the same. None of our films actually look the same, and there's not a recipe. It's based custom around the client and around that planning phase.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you'll see like an off the charts music video, right? And it's like everyone's dancing, and then you'll see like a really slow cinematic. It's because the client is based around that. So we can do most, like all styles really, which hits a bigger audience.
I'm wondering how many people, well, I know there'll be people listening out there thinking, God damn, like I color my weddings to fit, and you know, they're thinking about their brand and their image, and you know, making their Instagram feed look the same and nice. Like, what do you say to those people who focus on that rather than telling a video or a film or have images that are more reflective of their clients?
Don't get me wrong, we have our safe shots, right? And you're going to naturally have these anyway because you'll fall into that. But you'll fall into it more because of what I mentioned earlier of the strain and stress and pace of a wedding. Automatically, what happens is you'll naturally fall into, oh, let's just do what I usually do. Because you don't have time to think. You don't have the mental capacity to think anymore because you've been worrying about all the other things that's happening on a wedding day. So we do have our safe shots. For example, the group shot is kind of like a signature shot that we do in every single wedding, and we get booked for that. So it's to a certain extent.
Yeah, I love them.
We do them every, you know, people literally book us because of that shot, right? And so that to a certain extent is kind of a style, but that's just one shot in what we do overall. But having what you mentioned about like the Instagram feed looking all clean, or I mean, you look at our Instagram, man, we post like one every 3 weeks, and it's completely different to this last thing. And it looks messy, but every single one of them has purpose, which is more important than just posting for the sake of it. You will actually damage yourself if you post, I have to post at 6 o'clock every day and the content is not good. And then they ask the question, why is Instagram broken? The algorithm's so shit. It's not. It's because the content is not impactful enough. It's as simple as that. It's literally that. And if you don't want to understand that, then obviously then it's going to be more difficult for you to try and grow a following on Instagram, for example. But everything that we have has purpose, and we didn't just post. I mean, we have millions of photos. We looked the other day. We have, I think it was 1,200 terabytes of data backed up since day one, which I think is called like a quintabyte or something. So we have over 1,000 terabytes of just data, and you probably see about 200-300 posts on our Instagram. And we've grown a following because of it. And that's not because of consistently posting every day. That's because what we post in has purpose, and we've planned, and whether we think that it's a good shot in our mind, why is it good? You can't just get away with posting a wedding photo anymore. People are just like, we've seen it, it's done, so what? And when it comes down to marketing, you have to hit like these 5 different pillars, right? These 5 different areas of social media that. So I'll give you an example. Our biggest reels, right? This is a good tip for anyone who wants to grow a following on Instagram. Our biggest reels, if you notice, are not just related to photography. They're related to the outside world. And that's what we always strive towards. For example, I think if you go to the reels, I think the second one I'm looking at here is the little girl with a dress on. Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's like 20 million views on there. Now, why is this gone bigger than if it was just a good photo of the little girl in the dress? It's because of the little sort of controversy it's called with, and the people are arguing in the comments, why are you putting her in a wedding dress? You shouldn't be putting her into this face. So it's hit the outside world now. Now the outside world of the photography niche has an opinion. And those are the ones that blow up. You look at the one with the group shot, right? The group shot, Nigerian group shot. I think it's 23 million views. It's portrait shot green. Let me just see what it is. Essentially, that one reel there, right, is a group shot. But why did this go so crazy? And I didn't even notice at the time. But it's because the bride was white and the entire bridal party was black. And everyone was like, where is her family? So it just kind of like hit the outside world. If you understand, do you understand what I'm trying? It's not just photography anymore. Also, you throw in there that we shot that at 1.4 wide open with 20 people in there, and then you go to more comments arguing. So it's like that's how to kind of utilize Instagram is look at it to the point where it's like, why would this people watch this? Because the number one thing is like on Instagram is you have to catch them quite quickly. And it is difficult to do that when you're just posting wedding photos, especially when your followers are just used to seeing your style over and over and over and over again. It kind of looks the same all the time. Even though it's a different client, your style is the same, your colors are the same, your composition is the same. So you're posting essentially the same thing over and over again with just different people in there. And that's not going to go anywhere.
So we've talked about.
I'm feeling very shit about my work right now.
Well, no, we've talked about our TikTok reel that sort of went sort of viral-ish, and it connected on different levels where it was a groom in the Highlands and the wind blew up his skirt, so his kilt. So it had people talking about a man in a skirt. It had people talking about Marilyn Monroe moment. It had people being like, oh my God, does he have any underwear on under there? All these other moments it was connecting with. So that's the same sort of thing.
And if you can recognize those moments in the wedding day, because it happens all the time, in every wedding, something happens that could be potentially a viral reel. If you can recognize that, I mean, the wedding industry, it can be quite dramatic, man. Things go on, like the bride is late 2 hours for a wedding sometimes, or the car doesn't turn up, or for example, the one we just shot in London, I think it was the march for Gaza. The march was happening right outside the venue. And the bride wouldn't go outside because she didn't feel it was kind of like a moment that she wanted to create happy moments when all of that was going on. And because of the march, the DJ couldn't turn up, the cake didn't turn up, all of these other things happened on a wedding day that, and recognize it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we didn't jump on there and go, oh, well, how can we make this go viral? It's not something that we did in that moment, but it's just an example that things happen in a wedding day all of the time. And if you can recognize those moments and you can have the extra energy points to record them and then sit down afterwards and put them together, that's how you're going to grow your audience.
Yeah.
How do your clients feel about using these moments to your advantage? Like, is there do some clients not like it? I'm trying to ask this quite delicately.
Listen, there's things that I'm going to give you an example, right? Obviously, I'm not going to mention names, where, everything like this, but I'm going to give you a few examples.
Okay.
We did a wedding recently where the planner got so drunk that she took the mic off the MC up on stage and she starts talking about her career, and they're trying to get the mic off her. And she's like hitting them away. And I have all of this on like 7 angles in 4K. Now, I wouldn't post that because it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It's literally going to burn her. It's going to ruin her career. Another one we've had, the groom was on the dance floor with the little one, the flower girl, his daughter, and he threw it up and he missed her. And she, bam, hits the floor. Ooh. And I'm like, now that online, it would go crazy.
Yeah.
So there's things that I would do to protect my clients. But the other side of it, we shot a wedding in Mexico, and the dance floor was getting sandy. It was on the beach, right? Mm-hmm. And it was very slippery because it was sandy. Now the bride is running out, and she runs out to the first dance, and she, boom, up in the air. 60 million views. And she posted it.
Okay. Yeah.
So, there's two sides to it. You have to be careful what you're doing in order to protect your client, in order to protect your brand and who you are. But there's also moments that happen. I mean, the Mexico one I'm talking about, I was filming the couple session the next day, and a monkey jumps down and jumps onto the groom and kind of takes her with a baby on the back. Now, this went super viral. Like, you had like Unilad, everyone reaching out and buying this off us.
Yeah.
Because the monkey come down and kind of like was on top of the groom, and the bride was scared. And but it's just those moments, and obviously we're filming at that point, which is ideal. But if it was photography only, we would have switched into video or had phones out and recognizing what can go viral, because things happen all the time, and loads of things that we have banked will go viral. It's just time and energy to put it into it in order to do that.
Yeah, and I wonder how many people out there are like missing these opportunities, because I mean, they are everywhere. You just, I suppose, need to keep an eye out for them and utilize them to your advantage. And I keep thinking about Stanton Giles. He was shooting an elopement, and a bear came out and attacked a deer or something like that. And I just thought,
wow,
that's so random, but it propelled his name out there and got him tons of bookings.
Exactly. That's the point. I mean, like, there's some incredible artists around, and they just don't have the marketing brain. That it only takes one. And what happens is, because you've got that consistent Instagram or consistent look, and you are good at your job, it only takes that one reel to spiral it to everyone, and they just dig into your Instagram, and you're gonna it'll fly. But it takes that one to take it to the next level. But always be on the lookout for them. It's very important in this day and age in terms of social media marketing anyway. But we used to do all of the ads and all the Facebook and Instagram ads and targeting and all that. And it's come to the point where now it is basically our marketing. It doesn't exist in order to book clients. It exists in order to get a following from photographers, in order to sell our kind of education stuff. Yeah. But all of our work comes from planners now. That we don't even have to do the kind of like looking anymore. It comes in naturally now.
Yeah, that's cool. You mentioned, I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit to when we were talking about you taking creative control at a wedding. And you being able to have the ability to outsource enough that you can create different things for weddings. Where do you get your influences from? Especially since you clearly don't take any inspiration from other wedding suppliers, since they're boring. Where do you get your cinematic inspiration or your inspiration for images, or do you look at the wedding industry? Maybe I put words in your mouth there.
No, I don't. I haven't really looked at someone and go, right, I want to do that style, right? And that's how we have kind of made our own. The inspiration comes from the client all of the time, every single time. From the client, the venue, the colors, the theme, everything. That's where it comes. Sometimes I'll be like watching a movie and go, shit, that was class. Maybe I'll try and incorporate that into a wedding in terms of movies or some sort of camera movement to portray like a certain feeling on camera using movement. It's difficult for expression in weddings because you can't really. They're not acting. You have to enhance that feeling, but they aren't actors. You can't kind of like create. So there's three different types, basically. Three different types of photos or shots that we look for on a wedding day. You have your candid, and then you have your candid banger, and then you have your banger. Right now, obviously they're internal terms. So candid is self-explanatory. It's a moment that's happening that you just capture without getting involved in whatsoever. The banger on the other side of it is essentially what fine art wedding photography or wedding filmmaking is. Everything is under the control of the creative, right? So the composition, the background, the color, the light, the expression, that's a banger. So a candid banger, now these are the most important ones, what you look for on a wedding day, which is kind of like in between. And look at these as like a first look. Now, even though you have control of where this happens, you have control over the lighting, you know it's going to happen in this point, you know the focal length, it's not just happened, but what happens in that moment is candid, is a natural reaction. So that's a candid banger because you've set this up in such a way that it looks phenomenal, but what happens in that frame is natural. So you're not in control of the expression anymore. But you can take this to the next level, especially when it comes to filmmaking, and you can go, for example, like kneel down by a flower girl in bridal prep and you say to her, hey, go give mommy a hug. But before you've done this, you've got the cameras ready, you've got the lighting ready on her. She runs up, mum doesn't know, she runs up, give mum a hug, and mum's reaction is so natural that you've just created that moment, right? You literally just made this happen. And you not just made it happen, you actually set it to a point where it's lit well, the composition is phenomenal, the camera's ready, the audio is on point, but you just made that moment happen. And that bride is going to know about that. That's how you take it. That's the best ones. But we don't post those. We don't post candid bangers or candids. We only post bangers. And there's a reason for this, is because we only want to attract clients that will give us time. Because we want to do this next level. We're not happy with just sitting in the background and just filming a wedding. We want to create more content. We want to create impactful content. If they're not willing to give us the time, they want a naturally candid shot wedding, then we are not for them. Yeah. So we want, basically we insist our clients to have 3 days. Our high-end clients, the big package is 3 days. First day is all planning, prep, shooting, establishing drones, get all of that out of the way. And then the day is the wedding itself. So you concentrate on everything that you cannot do another day, right? The bridal party, or the essence of a wedding. And then the third day is the intimate session. If you get it to the point where you're doing that, you're gonna go. And you see all of the top-end wedding filmmakers in the world, they are not just shooting on one day. They are planning, they shoot in on multiple days across the board, and the planning and execution that goes into that is kind of scary to some people, especially when they're doing their own, is the level that it takes in order to do that. Like it isn't easy, and it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But hard work beats talent every single time.
Yeah.
You mentioned going to weddings kind of prepared with a story already kind of written up, like you know what's going to be happening. How does that? How do you balance that element with the kind of natural elements of a wedding, though?
Delegation to team members. So like it's covering the wedding naturally is the baseline, like I said, and then there's people dedicated to doing the side of it, which is mostly me. I mean, a lot of the time I don't even have a camera in my hand anymore. I'm literally just directing it, and you'll see multiple content on our socials where you'll just see me with a speaker on. And then you have a cam up. I mean, there's nothing worse than having a camera to your face and trying to direct a couple, right? Oh yeah, you're talking into a camera. They're not seeing you. And then obviously that's my skill set, right? My skill set is making people do things they wouldn't usually do, or trying to hype, or trying to get into the next level. And then you have someone else with a better skill set who runs a gimbal better than me. They should be there. So you add those two together, and it's going to be a better kind of overall vibe. So it goes back to everyone's doing their specific jobs very well.
Yeah. Like, also on that point, like, how you're obviously scripting and planning the film quite intently. Like, the Polaroid thing that you talked about is in terms of the film, I guess. But do you take that same approach to the photos, or are the photos less so?
So, yeah, obviously we have to plan the shots. So again, it's like themes, right? We look at the dress, we look at the colors, we look at the background, the time of year, the lighting, everything. All of that goes into the factor in order to. I mean, we wouldn't be trying to shoot really high key, kind of Caribbean like vibes looking shots in a castle in Isle of Skye with an overcast. You know, you have to kind of enhance the environment you're in. And you have to kind of enhance the theme, the couple, the dress. It tells a story. What is this dress? You know, why is she chosen this dress? What does she kind of want out of this? Now, obviously, the dress is sometimes, is really tight fitting, or sometimes it's short in the evening, and it kind of tells me, all right, she wants this kind of like pop Vogue style, right? And then you ask her, you communicate with her, and then you have like a big flowing cathedral dress. And the venue is, a huge church cathedral kind of vibe. It tells me she wants more of this cinematic slow. So you kind of have to just enhance, and that's how you base the planning around is it all the information you have. You send out a questionnaire. I mean, our questionnaire is like 7 pages long, man. It's very like in depth. It asks you the colors of the flowers, asks you what, upload photos of the dresses. I want to see everything before I do this, right? I want to know how you met. I want to know what you like to do on the weekends. And that's how we storyboard and plan. And then, like I said, we sit down, we put the selfie up, we use all this information, and we figure out the audio beforehand, and then we shoot to the audio, shoot to the colors, the themes, everything, and just enhance everything that we know about the client.
Yeah. If someone's looking at your work, they might be thinking, holy shit, this is spectacle beyond anything I could do. But what they would probably say that they focus on is like the emotions of a wedding, like the genuine, real life, how people are feeling, and their goal is to document that. Are you capturing those genuine moments, and all the realness of a wedding when what you're putting online is quite spectacular? I will not lie. It looks incredible. Are you?
That's the baseline.
That's the baseline.
That's the baseline. It's covered anyway. That's the baseline. So we actually deliver a movie. It's not even just ceremony and speeches. It's a movie.
Yeah.
And it is the entire day, chronological order, natural, no super like fast transitions or anything artsy. Mm-hmm. So that's the base. That's what they have there, right?
Yeah.
Now everything else they deliver is like the high impact stuff. So they have best of both worlds. They have the natural moments filmed throughout the day anyway. Mm-hmm. And then they have these extra. It's the same with the photos. 90% of the wedding we can't get involved in, but 10% we can, you know, and that's when we do those next level stuff. So most of it is naturally filmed, candidly filmed, but then it's these in-between moments that we can go that extra mile on to deliver something that's more impactful in order to get eyes on us, or in order to deliver something to the client that they love, you know, that they really want. And it, nowadays, video especially is gone massive. It used to be videography at the wedding is a bonus, but now it's kind of an essential. And sometimes people book it before photography, which makes sense, right? Yeah. We're shooting like 24 photos every second. Why would you have a camera there as well? Especially with the higher codecs, and we've even shot some weddings in RAW. You're shooting 24 raw photos a second. You might as well just have video there and take the specific part of that second that you look the best in. So for me, if you had to choose any clients, it would be video first, because you can take these high-res stills anyway. And as long as your videographers caption everything, then there's no reason to kind of have a photographer there. Sorry, photographers.
Well, you know, tell us about. Obviously, I asked you about what you offer your clients and stuff, but we didn't really get into the nitty gritty as to like how many images you provide, what's the length of a film, like what are the other add-ons to your packaging that you know you can offer, or even like how do you?
I'm just gonna tweak this camera, mate, because it's getting really bright outside. I'm gonna tweak this camera a little.
Okay, go for it. Audio still good? Is it kind of crackling up a little bit?
It was just Wi-Fi though.
It was just Wi-Fi. That's fine.
The sun is streaming through, man. It's making me look white and pasty. Okay, so packages for video. We offer 4 films from the wedding day, right? Now, in order to book our team to shoot the wedding, it's the same price. Doesn't matter. What changes in the price is how many films they have after the wedding. So our packages are unlimited time. We don't say, you know, it's 10-hour package, and after 10 hours, we're going to ask you for more. We're only going to shoot one wedding that day, so we might as well do a bloody good job of it. And it actually benefits us to get more content further down the line instead of scraping footage.
Yeah.
So we put an extra couple of hours in on the day that saves us 20 hours down the line, basically. But in terms of deliverables, we offer 4 films, right? And that's when the price changes a lot. So if some people, you can have 1 film. Now, nobody chooses this because they want high impact stuff. Some people have chosen just the movie, and that is everything. Right, so we have 4 films: teaser, highlight, extended highlight, movie. That's the 4 films we offer. And then our packages are based on numbers of deliverables after. That's when the money changes. So if they want all 4 films, they have to pay a lot, you know. So the teaser, the trailer is like, we say, right, if you have the trailer, then it comes out with a few days when it's all still on everyone's high. Your wedding just happened. You want to show content quickly. So some people choose the trailer. That's like 60 to 90 seconds long. The highlight is 3 to 5 minutes. Very similar format to the teaser, instead of, in terms of like, you know, high impact transitions, you know, really creative. Mm-hmm. Then you have the extended highlight, which I'll come back to soon. Then you have the movie. Now the movie is everything in chronological order: bride prep, groom prep, ceremony, speeches, all the way up until all the juicy drunken dancing stuff, intimate session, everything, right? In like I said, traditional. What you think of as a movie is in terms of in the background and just filming it. So what is the extended highlight? It's basically a hybrid between the movie and highlight, right? So it's like the best parts of the speeches, the best parts of the ceremonies, like specific parts that we choose to be creative. Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes back and forth, having those moments in there, to also going back to the high impact transitions. So it's kind of like a really creative, and it's about 10 to 12 minutes long feature film. So that's the 4 films we offer. And, for the most part, people choose the highlight and movie, the 2, that's our most popular package.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets good. If they choose 2 films, like what we say to them is, listen, we're going to keep your footage for a year, right? And then we're going to send you probably the husband an email 2 months before his wedding, automatically from our CRM. Hi, so-and-so, your anniversary's coming up. We still have your footage. Do you want to buy the movie? And then they always end up buying it because you've shot it anyway. So even if they booked and they wanted just a highlight, we always end up selling the movie. And we always shoot it as if we're delivering all 4 films. So it's always an upselling point to the films. With the photography, it's basically the difference in packages are shooters. So if you have an extra shooter, there's going to be more photos, more work, blah, blah, blah. So that will change the package. And then when you upsell like albums and, deliverables later on. But the video is a little bit more complicated. But I think we've honed in a perfect recipe for what we can deliver and what people buy. And then they end up always buying at least 3 of those films. Well, 2 guaranteed.
Yeah.
But most part 3.
That's sort of how we work, is that we always film the day to save us, because we need the footage in future. And a year later, we message and say, hey, you didn't buy the ceremony speeches. We've still got them. And we've actually, the way we work, we actually edit them at the time anyway. Yeah. So it's an easy, when they say, oh yeah, we do want to add them on, we don't then need to go and pull out the project and start editing again. It's already done. We just enable the scene and pick time. Yeah. And it's done.
Exactly.
So it's an
But if you think
upsell.
about it, when you're editing the highlight, for example, to do that properly, you should ingest the entire day. So you're kind of editing the movie anyway. So it's all chronological order, and it's all color schemed, like bride prep, groom prep, all the way up to all the evening reception stuff. So essentially, all you're doing is just putting that together to nice music. So you're doing the work anyway if you're editing properly, and you're not just looking for specific clips throughout the day to put something together. You should really ingest that entire day in chronological order, so you know where you're going, multicam and everything, and then it's easy to edit the movie. So it's essentially done anyway. I hope my clients are not listening to this.
I do want to offer something that always gets asked. Do you like offer raw footage, like everything that you've captured on a wedding day? It's on a hard drive. Can clients buy that off you? And if so, how much do you charge and all that kind of stuff?
Only to filmmakers who book us, and we just give it to them at the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But for the most part, the movie itself, is everything in chronological order. It's every usable shot. There wouldn't be anything missing. So there's nothing extra that I could offer. And I don't know why a client would want to go back to S-Log and then having to cut all those pieces together. It was already done for you. So, but a filmmaker, we will give it to. So obviously, our peers and our other people in the same industry as us, I don't care. I don't really bother. See people all the time. You should be charged $15,000 for your rolls. I'm like, come on, man. Give it to them. If the photographers, they want to put their own style in. As long as you've got a little contract in place saying you're not going to post your colors and say that's going to affect your business, it sounds like look after each other.
Yeah.
I like that. Hang on, I do want to also talk about your backup system, because it's another thing that people probably don't think about or probably leave to the last minute. But you did mention all your bazillion gigs or bytes of data, and you keep everything. So what is your backup solution? Like, how are you keeping all your footage? Like, I know you said you keep it for a year, but you have mentioned that you've got all the files.
Yeah, we never delete it. We tell our clients we keep it for a year, basically. So our entire system is run through network, right? This is NAS storage. And then all of the computers are kind of like wired in through 10 GB, so they can just go on there and just find a project. So what happens is on the day, we actually shoot ProRes S-Log 3, 422 10-bit, right? And it's about 4 terabytes average a wedding. That's what we're looking at in terms of the overall content size of it. And when you do 100 a year, it comes a lot, man. It is a lot of footage, right? So what we do is shoot simultaneously. So the camera's triggering the camera. We have a trigger that triggers the camera, then the camera triggers the monitor. So the monitor's shooting to an SSD, the camera's shooting to an SD card. An SD card goes with one of our other staff home, off-site. The SSDs go to the office, and we have a data manager who manages all of this. That will just put it on his desk at the end of the day, and then it all magically gets done for me, which is phenomenal. But then basically you open up the client project, which is is coded by month, etc. You find the client, and inside of that you'll have all of the different cameras, drone, audio, everything in beautiful fashion, which makes life a lot easier.
Yep.
But yeah, it's all we don't delete, man. I've deleted 1 or 2 weddings, like over the past, but I've just been in a pinch. But then it's always like, right, how do we buy more? Even next year now, we'll buy more data. We're using Synologies. We're using QNAP systems. I've tried them all, Lacey's. And the best ones, if anyone's interested, for me, have been the QNAPs. They are better than the Synology. They're faster. And they are kind of like the newer ones are 10 GB ready. As opposed to the Synologies, you have to kind of like put in new parts to it. You have to add RAM to the system. You have to, upgrade it, put SSDs in there. But the QNAPs, the new QNAPs, where you can put SSDs in there to kind of speed up your workflow and your cookies on there, then they are the best ones if you are looking to get mass storage. Look into the QNAPs.
Yeah, cool.
All right, cool.
I want to go back to earlier on. You were talking about like someone in your team has to shoot like 50 weddings alongside you before they can like lead a team. And also like in the education side of things for you, you offer something that's a bit different. I've not really seen other educators offer. Like obviously you've got mentoring and workshops, but you offer a come and shoot with us session or something. So tell us a bit more about that. Like what does that involve and who sort of...
So this is new to next year, man. Yeah, thanks for mentioning it. It's new to next year. To be honest with you, the education, like we've done a few workshop tours, but like, we've been growing this brand for a while and we haven't had so much time to hone in the education, but it's something that is happening right now. And one of the ideas was, right, we can do a workshop in person, right? And we can teach you and we can stand there and we can, pose this model with a dress on and show you how to do beautiful light. But what's missing from that is the pace of an actual real live event. So
yeah,
you could learn all of that, but you're not understanding how to incorporate that into an actual real wedding. And for the most part, it is a model who knows how to pose already. And so for us, it's like, right, we got a team going anyway, 6-7 people or 4 people, whatever. It's going to be done. You can book an opportunity to come along with us. Even on if you're looking to build a destination portfolio, if you're looking to just sit back watching how it's going on, you can still shoot. You can use the photos. We don't care. We want to help you. And you can come along to a wedding with us, see how everything is done well in terms of like the audio, the lighting. You can see how the shooting, the directing, the composition, the posing, how we engage with real clients for the same price as trying to tell you how it's done, which is, for me, invaluable. Especially if you're building a portfolio. Because next year, for example, we have 16 different countries, and people who want to be destination weddings, to book the first one is difficult because they don't have the portfolio for it. You can come to, we go Hawaii, like Dubai weddings, we have all of Europe, the States, and you can just tag along and shoot in the background and portfolio. We don't care, man. just want to help, You obviously got to pay us. You got to help me pay salaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask how you communicate that with your clients. Like, are you telling them there's going to be an extra person just shooting on the side, or are you keeping that kind of like that? It won't bother them, so you're just like not mentioning it. Yeah,
it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to sell to a client. They're going to have another angle there that you wouldn't have for free. What's the worst that can happen? They're not going to get in the way. You're going to have more footage.
True.
You're going to have more because we get to use the footage too. If they shoot and film with us, we'll get to use that, and they'll keep a copy of it, whatever they want to do. But because there's like a team of 5-6 of us, nobody would even know that they wasn't part of the team anyway. And it is communicated beforehand to the student that it wouldn't be time to be questions. You cannot come up to me and ask me a question while I'm engaging with a client. If we're having downtime or we're separate, ask me questions, but absolutely do not do that in front of anyone, and just watch, and you're going to learn a lot more and then ask questions later on. Write them down, whatever you want to do. But that's that's one of the only conditions we ask, apart from a few legalities and insurance and all of this other stuff to make it a proper business model. But I like you said, you haven't seen many people doing this, and I haven't either, and I don't know how it's going to go. But if you go to our website, you go to come shoot a wedding with us. There's a list of 100 weddings on there, and destinations are all over the world, and you can just literally click and book, and then it's gonna and then we're gonna reach out to you and sort everything out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it sort of pans out over the next year, because it is different.
They also get to be part of the TV series that we're doing, so they'll be featuring in the
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. God.
on Netflix.
I think it will be valuable to people, because you're right, like attending a workshop's good and there is still a place for workshops and stuff, but having that, like actually seeing how it works in person and the stress, like second shooting for people is more beneficial sometimes than workshops. So it'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How it's interesting because the standard for second shooting is that they go along and get paid, right? Yeah, for photographers. How are you? It's going to be interesting to see how that I can see the benefits of actually being able to go. Like, so it'll be interesting how that kind of.
Well, what you're going to look at is people pay to go to a style shoot, right? Where they get in portfolio images. Why not pay go all that experience and watch how it works? But even to the point of like the planning side of it, coming and seeing how we plan it, everything that you'll never get to. It's invaluable. You'll never find anything like that on YouTube.
Yeah. I agreed, and it'll be interesting to see how other photographers will they change? Will they start charging second shooters? We'll
start a trend.
Yeah.
Do you want to come second shoot? Give me $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, they can be completely newbies, right? In this stage, so it doesn't matter. We're not relying on their images. We're not relying on the footage. It's going to be done regardless. If they shoot well, then we use their shots, obviously. And they can actually share it. We was part of this shoot. It doesn't bother me, man. Like, we've had people. I'd give you an example. Actually, I used to do come live with me workshops, right? And we've done them for like a year. And basically, the house that I'm in now is it's like 5 bedrooms. So each house we call them a different. Each room in my house is like earth, air, wind, fire. So they all have their own bedroom, their own shower. They come to my house, they live with me, they see how I work, and then we go on a style shoot. So I did that with a few people, and it was great. And then one of the couples who come here, a couple called Rad and Zanita, right? I think called True Lens Art. Have a look at their work recently. From I love their passion. I love their willingness and drive, and I'm like, man, I can use you actually on shoot. So I was then paying them, right, to come to weddings with us to second shoot and to be contractors. They're on our contracting list now, and they were students of ours. Yeah. And if you ask them where they learned the most, is actually coming to shoot weddings with us, and they've skyrocketed. Their work is incredible now, and you can see our kind of influence in some of the group shots. If you scroll down, you'll see some of the group shots that they are doing where we've been teaching them how, and. But they're phenomenal artists. They were before. They were really good before. They just, video is where they were lacking, and they've gone into that kind of that field as well with us helping them. We've given them. They were just in Italy on a shoot with us. Where was it? It was actually the stuntman for Jean-Claude Van Damme's wedding in Italy, and they were there shooting. But we was paying them, and then we were like, hang on now, there might be a market here for this. So another business under the umbrella.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their work looks amazing as well.
Yeah. Just before we got onto the show and tell, are there any projects or collaborations other than the Netflix stuff, the aim of that? Is there anything upcoming that you're excited about in the next few months?
Yeah, the release of the Nikon advert, man. We hired an entire castle, 60 cast crew members. We filmed the full behind the scenes of us doing this. I cannot say what it is yet because it was supposed to be released in October, but it's gone back to the engineers apparently. So I am under NDA on that, but it's basically the new promo for Nikon, and so I'm really excited to release that and show us setting that entire thing up. The behind the scenes already put together. I watched it and it gave me goosebumps, man. It's so good. Yeah. The guys are incredible at doing that, and so that and then also the Netflix, but a few destinations next year, like Hawaii. I've never been there. I'm interested to do that. Did you ask me about what I'm excited or what collabs am I excited for?
Yeah, both projects or collaborations. Yeah. So weddings and commercial. Yeah.
So like the commercial, the Netflix idea. I mean, we say the Netflix idea. It's probably not going to get the Netflix, but especially with that attitude, it won't. But first of all, we're going to start screening it on YouTube. So it'll be an episode every month on the 28th of every month coming out of us going to shoot a real wedding. We're going to pick one and we're going to film it, film everything, the planning, behind the scenes, and then executing the wedding itself. So what I'm excited for is kind of the inception idea here is like, right, we have this fine nice commercial business. How do we grow this? Okay, let's use the commercial business to shoot the wedding business in order to grow both, right? So kind of we're not having any outsiders come in and follow us in terms of crew. We'd be bloody cancelled within a week probably. I'm only joking. But like everything is in-house and it's growing. We're not using another company to come and shoot the wedding business in order to do these episodes. We're using the commercial business, which will be fully credited to the commercial company and showing what we can do. Right, we can shoot TV shows now. So we're utilizing that. I'm super excited for that. Like I said, I'm losing sleep over the commercial side of things now, and I'm excited to see how it goes within the industry and how it kicks off and maybe mainstream. So outside of the photography industry and hitting the entertainment market, like these Say Yes to the Dress or all of these other kind of TV shows that has happened. Let's see it from a wedding photographer and wedding videographer perspective. Let's have a look at how that goes. And it's never been done before, so I'm kind of excited for that.
Hell yeah. Big plans. I like it, man. I like it. Can't wait. No, it's
some images.
It's my favorite time. It's show and tell time, where I've picked some images of yours, and I want you to tell me the backstory or your thought process, or I have actually kept it to 3. I think I said in the last podcast that I've just been struggling, but I was very, very hard on myself to make sure I did this. I'm going to open my beer. Thank you, Days. So Christian, you, like, when I look at your portfolio, I see these group shots and I really love them. It's clear that you spend a lot of time organizing family, and I picked this one mainly because this little girl down the bottom here is so unhappy. Yeah, but you've incorporated, these instruments, and the lighting's beautiful, and the colors and the tone. So tell me about this image. Why you've incorporated, the instruments and the backdrop and all the elements that make this image, and then how this became your kind of go-to signature image to capture at weddings.
So this is a really good one actually and it goes with everything I've said today. This image in particular is planned beforehand. They are musicians, hence the musical instruments in there. They're musicians and performers. So they're singers and performers on cruise ships, actually, this couple is. So it goes back to the planning phase, right? Okay. We're looking at this wedding, and we have everything now on a questionnaire, and it asks the vendors of the wedding, and we notice there's a string quartet. Now, this is during COVID, hence why there's only 3 of them there. One of them had COVID. So it should have been a string quartet incorporated into this. So we reached out to them beforehand. We're like, hey guys, we want to, we have this idea. The couple's musicians, they, very creative musically. We do this signature group shot a lot. We want to try and do something different. Can we incorporate you into that? They're like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. They stay extra. As long as they can use the image, they'll stay extra, however long it takes for us to grab this image. So it's kind of like goes back to that theme, right? Of like, right, they're musicians, there's musical instruments there, this planning, we know they're there. We communicated this to everyone beforehand, so we knew this shot was happening before even the day come. So this isn't just, something that we just go, oh, let's try that. This was planned beforehand. And we actually use a lot of 3 apps in order to do this, which I'm going to give some juicy education to people now. So the 3 apps we use are CAD Rage, right? So which is like, have you guys used a CAD Rage before? So it's basically a director's viewfinder, right? It's a director's monitor, and you can put any camera, any input on. It's an app for your iPhone. You can only get it on iPhone. I think there's an alternative for Samsung users, or what Android is it? It's called CAD Rage, CADRAGE, and So you can literally
Yep.
just take your phone with you now, and you can scope up. You will see in the Isle of Skye video me using this app when I'm planning where the elopement's going to take place and planning certain shots. And then you can take a load of photos with this app around the venue, plan, and then you can export it to a PDF, which has like a QR scan code on there, but it tells you the time it was taken, the focal length, the camera, the direction, everything. So now if I go and plan this wedding, I can then upload this to my team. They know what I know. They can see my vision. Yeah. So it's incredible, very powerful. Not many people know about it. So you can, it's some good education, free education for people there. It's about £20. The app is £20 sterling. The second app we use is PhotoPills. And this is for light direction, you're planning years in advance of like where the sun is going to be at certain times, so we can plan shots. And the third one we use is something called Millanote, Millanote. And essentially what this is just where we put everything, all the information. So I have the Millanote actually plan of this wedding, where you'll see this wedding be planned. And I've actually got BTS of this shot being set up as well, which will be dropped to YouTube, over time. But you pick the perfect image to kind of enhance what we've spoken about all day, and going that extra mile and getting that extra image and setting that up and having a signature. And then the lighting is basically overhead lit from Rotolight, top down light from Rotolights. I think that was the Anova Pro 2, but they do have the Anova Pro 3 out now, which is a phenomenal light. You should look at it. It actually has like a magic eye on there where you can just sample the ambience of the room and it'll match the colors. It's incredible. It's by Rotolight. It's called the Anova Pro 3.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah, I have one here. This is the so this is the Neo, the AEOS 2. So it's like the middle version. You have a small version which is called the Neo, and then you have the middle version which is this called the AEOS, AEOS, and then you have the big daddy which is called the Anova Pro 3, which isn't out yet. We just done the promo for it. We actually tied it in with the Nikon shoot. And I think it's on Kickstarter. It's been released in March, the Anova Pro 3. But this particular shot was one light overhead with the Anova Pro 2. So that's how that shot was lit, what I'm looking at now. And she's sad because she wants to go and eat.
Yeah, I mean,
we all want the canapes at weddings, don't we?
yeah. So
Yeah, man.
So how long would this shot have taken to set up? This particular image, I know you mentioned,
5 minutes, man. Not even 5
certain
minutes.
shots. Oh, really?
5 minutes. Yeah, there's a technique to it. You just basically start with the groom, right? So the groom sits down, and then the bride walks in next to him, depending on if she has a side or where the light is coming from. She walks in, keeps her back to the camera, yeah? You fluff the dress out, she turns over her shoulder, she touches the groom. Now them two are in. Now you just build layers. So if you look at this, it's 3 layers, and every single one of them makes a triangle. So you can do lines from every person in there, and they'll make a triangle. So you do 3 layers, start with the bride and groom, and then you've got, instead of like everyone standing in the one row, and then everyone is on the same plane in terms of their heads, it's never next to each other the same height. So it's always a triangle. So yeah, that basically is made up of about 10 triangles, that shot. But once you've done it like 200 times, it takes minutes.
Yeah. If people don't understand what you're talking about with triangles, you mean like with the head, so... One here.
Yeah, so that's it.
2.
That's it, yeah. Everything's triangles,
3,
yeah.
4, 5,
Yep.
6. I've got 6.
Audio listeners are thinking, what's going on here?
What's going
There's
on?
more
The
than
point
that, man.
is-
There's bigger ones as well. Look at the flower girls. Look at the flower girls, the 2 flower girls to the groom.
Nice.
See, and then back down. There's triangles everywhere in that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Let's go for the next image.
Go for the next image, yeah. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting because obviously you've got such a big team, and I'm picking out random images. You say that you don't have a camera a lot of the time, so some part of your team might have come up with this image, or
No. Yeah, you picked 3 that I took personally.
we'll just go with that story. So I obviously love this shot. For a number of reasons, it's backlit, but mainly because you have I mean, they say that working with kids and animals is like a nightmare. And you've worked with kids in the last image, and now you're working with a horse, and I can't even imagine how difficult this was to like put together. Like planning it is one thing, but you know, working with live animals and using them to frame a couple, like it's very well done. So, what was your thought process here? Who took this image as your team? Yeah.
So again, is the planning. This is an actual engagement session, not a wedding. And when we planned the engagement session, we're asking questions. And they live on a farm, and they basically ride horses. Now you say it's difficult to work with animals. With this one in particular, it's not, because that's actually the horse from Warhorse. So it actually listens.
Really? Wow.
So if you look at some more of the images from the same sequence, you'll see like up on the back legs, like flip, they can really ride these horses. This was photography only, which was a shame, because I did get a few clips. This was when the A7S III first dropped, and I was testing the 4K 120.
Right.
And there's just clips of these two horses hammering towards me in the ocean, and I'm in the middle with a freaking A7S III shitting myself, and they going straight past my head.
Yeah.
But the dress she has on is a maternity dress that I used on a shoot, or my ex-wife used on a shoot that I borrowed. So it's from, I think it's from, what's her name? Shit, I can't remember her name. Maternity dress designer. So the dress green, flowing down the horse. I mean, this whole sequence was beautiful. It's phenomenal. We actually were very proud of this shoot. But yeah, the horse was quite easy to work with, because it was a actor.
Yeah. So you mentioned kit, and we haven't asked you what's in your kit bag, but considering, you know, you're aiming for Netflix now, like the A7S III is not Netflix approved, young man. So just be careful. You know?
It actually is now.
It is now? What?
I think as long as you shoot it, I think if you shoot in Rec 2020, I think it is now. But we have the BTS team is on FX6s, and I think there's actually an A7S III. So FX6s is the main for the behind the scenes.
Here's me thinking that the FX3 was the Netflix approved one.
That's the same sensor, man. It's literally the same sensor.
It is.
It's exactly the same sensor for all three of them. So, in regards to photography, I shoot with an A9 II, and my second camera is an A7R III. Even though I bought the A7R4 and 5, I love the A7R III. It's my favorite photography camera that Sony's ever made. And it just feels like you're taking a photo, right? You know, with these A9 IIs, and it's like tick, 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 kind of like no grit to the shot. Like, but the R3 is like wham, 42 megapixels, and you're taking a photo as beefy as, I love that camera. And so I use that as my second. It's mainly got a long lens on there. I use a 35-105 for the majority of the day, myself personally. But like obviously on the wedding day, there's like, I think minimum of 4 video cameras is mandatory. With so another tip for wedding videographers filming the back of a ceremony room is having 2 dead cams at the back, especially if you're working with other photographers, and having a gap with them. So if you have scope with this, have a gap. So you have one low on a tripod with a wide for the ceremony, and then you have a long lens that's in on tight. But there's a gap. So if the photographer does need to go in there, they can kill the back angle, but it never kills the wide. And we do this all the time. So the photographers can go in and out. And then it's just 245s from the front. There's a minimum of 4 during ceremonies and speeches. I might have to tweak these lights again. No, can you even see me? One sec.
It's getting a bit dark.
I was going to say, you're looking dark for some reason, yeah.
It's because I have a massive window over there, man. And the sun is streaming through.
Yeah.
And then the video is all A7S IIIs, FX3s, FX6.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
We'll move on to the next image.
Go for it, the last one. Now, I picked this one because I love mirrors and reflections, and for years I used to carry a piece of glass in my boot for elopements, and I always used to want to use it and never actually got the chance. So it's actually sat beside me in this piece of glass mirror. But I really love the use of mirrors. And in terms of how you've done it here, it's obviously not your simple image. You have obviously thought about it and crafted this image in post, it would seem. Right?
Yeah, it is. They're actually holding the mirrors, yeah, and then as the face is put in post, yeah.
So what was your thought process in terms of making this? Did you have any health and safety concerns? Because those are shards of glass they're holding? Like, what was your thought here?
Have you seen the video to this?
No, I don't think so.
Oh man, you'd understand immediately. It's
okay.
Basically,
where can I find
this
it?
whole shoot? Are you going to watch it now? It's like it's actually, this stems from what I talked about earlier when I say I noticed a shot in movies, and I seen a shot happen once. You might know the shot. Basically, it's a girl running up the stairs, right? And she keeps running up, and she's running towards the camera, running towards it. All of a sudden, she opens a cabinet, and you realize that it's being filmed in the mirror. Have you seen that shot?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, this
like
entire shoot was based around that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and he runs up. She opens a cabinet. So we did that with this couple here, and I carrying a freaking 6-foot mirror around the mountains with me. This is in Snowdonia. And the whole thing is based on mirrors. So it actually starts with that shot where she's running towards the mirror, and then you'll see the inception side of it. You should watch the film, man. It's incredible. It's really, really creative. It's really old.
But yeah, so those were my 3 images. I'm very happy that I kept it to 3 because there were so many. Honestly, so many. Another one of your shots was like, you encouraging people to dance when the gimbal's going, and you've got these wonderful transitions with trees and goddamn. I mean, Anyway, sorry. Obviously, you've been doing this for a good number of years now. If you were to have a word or a phrase that would encapsulate your whole journey in weddings and commercials and making films, what would that be for you?
One word?
One word or phrase.
It'd have to be more towards like difficult than anything else. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult. This has not been an easy run, man. This has been blood, sweat, and tears that I've put into this since day one. And you can look through all my images and look at the places we go and, the clients we shoot and all of that. And it all looks really glamorous, but I guarantee you this has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I've been to prison.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Damn. Well, I mean, you're doing great, so keep it up.
Yeah. In closing, do you have any book recommendations for our listeners, whether that be sort of business books or self-help or photography?
The book I read back in the day was it was just The Art of Portrait Photography. You can find it on Amazon. But I read a lot of theory. But for me, if you want to learn more, reading's great, but just doing it every single day, pick up a camera and go and shoot, you learn a lot more than if you read a book. Because when I come out, and I read those books, I couldn't put it into practice. So just every single day, pick up the camera, go and create something, drive. When everyone else's lights are off, yours should be on and working towards something. If you have a goal, you want to reach it, you have to work. His number one rule is hard work. You absolutely cannot get around that. You cannot get around it. Work hard, and you'll achieve. That's it. It sounds cliche, but that's literally it, man. Like, I've literally dedicated my entire last 5, 6, 7 years to doing this and going hard and going big. Every single day, 16-hour days, going extra above and beyond, and it's paid off. And and I didn't get here through luck. I got here through hard work and dedication.
Yeah, and you can see that from sort of what you're putting out and the work you're creating. Like, you can see that you're reinvesting back into the business as well. Like, that comes through.
Oh yeah, every single time, man.
Yeah.
Every single time. I don't keep anything. I just put it all back in and make something new and just keep going. Obviously I have to live. and I live comfortably, but I put all my money back in and create something else, like with these other businesses, and I invest. And like I said, I want to retire by the time I'm 40, man, and you can't do that by sitting on your ass and not taking risky moves and bold decisions, you know?
Yeah. Very cool, man. And that brings us to the end of the podcast, more or less. So for people who want to know more, you know, obviously we've talked about your YouTube channel and your Instagram and have we mentioned your website? But obviously you have a website. Where can people find you online if they wanted to check out more of your work?
I feel like Instagram is the one. Our website's super old, man. Like all of the stuff that you found there, I don't know if you found it from the website, but like it hasn't been updated for about 3 years. It is in the process of we are having a new website. So the content on the website is very old, and the new stuff is all posted to Instagram is where we hit in. But the goal this year is YouTube. You'll see a lot coming out, like the Polaroid shoot. It's already edited. I could literally drop that now. But we kind of keep in like exclusive stuff like that for our in-person workshops. We're not just blasting anything out there. Obviously, because people, you know, that's knowledge that's like invaluable, and people want to learn and they want to come from us. So if we just share it to everyone for free, we kind of don't offer anything different in the in-person workshop itself. So, look at the YouTube. We're going to drop a load. There's so much in there already of us planning an engagement session and showcasing how we go above and beyond. I think there's an engagement session on there where we fire a projector into a waterfall and play footage from a previous person. We're flying drones through their legs and shit, man. It's like, it's just go to the YouTube, bro. There's loads of stuff on there that kind of shows what we do. But that's what we're going to focus on this year. Is we're going to blow the YouTube up, and with these, you know, the reality TV idea.
Yeah. And speaking of workshops, you've got the workshop tour going on just now. There's a proposed Scotland date soon. Is that right?
It's because of the time of year. We just took another wedding in Malta, I think, and it kind of threw a spanner in the works for the Scotland one. So we still don't have an official date for the Scotland or Ireland. We do have the official dates for Hensall Castle and Allerton Castle. But with these workshops, you have to make sure if you're going to look into going, there's two different kind of styles that we're going to concentrate on, which we are known for, like the hype style. So we're going to show how to direct and kind of make a film that is it almost looks like a music video. And then it's the opposite side of it, where it is more slow and cinematic and kind of like, you know, the different side. There's two different. So look at which ones you want to do. And then we will be releasing the Scotland and Ireland ones soon, depending on dates.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You can also live stream those as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. If people were interested in learning more about the Come Shoot With Me, or Come Shoot With You, where can people get more information about that, since it's not been released? Or
it's fully released now, fireandIce.vip. If you go to fireandIce.vip and click on Come Shoot With Me, you'll see all of the weddings we're going to next year, and you can literally just book and come along.
Oh, sweet. My bad. Well, go check that out, people. Go check that out. That's great. People can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com. Our Instagram is at perspectivebycinemate. And if you have enjoyed this conversation, you can hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to With Jack for sponsoring this episode. If you don't have insurance, have a look. Get in contact with Ashley Baxter. That's her company. She's very good at what she does. And yeah, we hope to see you in the next episode. However,
in the meantime,
enjoy your life.